Krishna, everybody. Welcome all of you for today's reading session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wish you all a very happy Krishna conscious New Year 2026. May we make more progress in spiritual life and Krishna consciousness in this year by engaging in more and more devotional service and receiving the blessings of our beloved spiritual master, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Reading from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya by His Divine Grace, Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 23, entitled Why Study the Vedanta Sutra? Knowledge is information gathered from the scriptures, and science is practical realization of that knowledge. Knowledge is scientific when it is gathered from the scriptures through the bona fide spiritual master, but when it is interpreted by speculation, it is mental concoction. By scientifically understanding the scriptural information through the bona fide spiritual master, one learns by one's own realization the actual situation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is different from material manifestations and it is above the reactions of matter. Unless one scientifically understands the spiritual form of the personality of Godhead, one becomes an impersonalist. The sunshine in itself is illumination, but that illumination is different from the sun. Yet the sun and the sunshine are not differently situated, for without the sun there can be no sunshine, and without sunshine there is no meaning to the word sun. Unless one is freed from the influence of material energy, he cannot understand the Supreme Lord and his different energies. Nor can one who is captivated by the spell of material energy understand the spiritual form of the Supreme Lord. Unless there is realization of the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no question of love of God. Unless one can realize the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord, he cannot actually attain love of God, and without love of God, there is no perfection in human life. Just as the five gross elements of nature, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether, are both within and without all living beings in this world, the Supreme Lord is both inside and outside this existence, and those who are His devotees can realize this. Pure devotees know that they are meant to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that all things that exist can be means by which one can serve the Supreme. Because a devotee has been blessed by the Supreme from within his heart, he can see the Supreme Lord wherever he looks. Indeed, he can see nothing else. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, verse 55, the relationship between the devotee and the Supreme Lord is confirmed as follows. Visrujati hridayam na yasya sakshad harir harir avashadhitopi अघौघनाशः प्रणयरशनाय धृताङ्घ्रिपद्मः स भवति भागवतप्रधान उक्तः. If a person's heart is always tied to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord with the rope of love, the Lord does not leave him. Indeed, if his remembrance is not perfect, he is to be considered a first class devotee. There is an example of this description in Srimad Bhagavatam, Dashaskandha, Canto 10, Chapter 30, verse 4. When the gopis assembled to join the rasa dance with Krishna, Krishna left them. Consequently, the gopis began to chant the holy name of Krishna and, being overwhelmed with madness, began to inquire about Krishna from the flowers and the creepers in the forest. Krishna is like the sky, he is situated everywhere. By studying Srimad Bhagavatam, we can obtain information about our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, understand the procedure by which the Lord can be attained, and receive the ultimate realization, which is love of Godhead. In explaining to Prakashananda Saraswati how one can achieve the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service, Lord Chaitanya quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 14, verse 21, in which the Lord says that he can be realized only through devotional service executed with faith and love. Indeed, it is devotional service alone which purifies the heart of the devotee and elevates him to the ultimate realization by which he, established in faith, renders service unto the Supreme Lord. Even if one is born in a low class Even if one is born in a low family, like a family of chandalas or dog eaters, one can become filled with transcendental symptoms through realization of the supreme stage of love of Godhead. These transcendental symptoms are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, verse 31. Smarantas smarayantascha mitho agauga haram harim भक्त्या समजातया भक्त्या भक्त्या संजातया भक्त्या बिभर्ति उत्पुलकं तनुम्. When devotees discuss subjects dealing with the Supreme Lord, who can cleanse the heart of his devotees from all kinds of sinful reactions, they become overwhelmed with ecstasy and display different symptoms due to their devotional service. The Bhagavatam further states, due to their spontaneous attachment for the Lord, when they chant his holy names, they sometimes cry, sometimes laugh, dance, sing, and so on, not caring for any social convention. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, verse 14. We should understand that Srimad Bhagavatam is the real explanation of the Brahma Sutra, and it is compiled by Vyasadeva himself. In the Garuda Purana, it is said, Arthoyam Brahma Sutranam Bharatartha Vinirnayaha Gayatri Bhashya Ruposau Vedartha Paribrahmitaha Grantho Ashtadasha Sahasraha Srimad Bhagavatadivihi. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the authorized explanation of Brahma Sutra, and it is a further explanation of Mahabharata. It is the expansion of the Gayatri Mantra and the essence of all Vedic knowledge. This Srimad Bhagavatam, containing 18,000 verses, is known as the explanation of all Vedic literature. In the very first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages of Naimisharanya asked Suta Goswami how one can know the essence of Vedic literature. In answer, Suta Goswami presented Srimad Bhagavatam as the essence of all the Vedas, histories, and all other Vedic literatures. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 13, verse 15, it is clearly stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedanta knowledge, and that one who relishes the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam has no taste for studying any other literature. In the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the meaning and purpose of the Gayatri Mantra are also described. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Truth. This is the first introductory verse dealing with the Supreme Truth, which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as the source of creation, maintenance, and destruction for the cosmic existence. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya directly indicate Lord Sri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. This fact is explicitly presented later in Srimad Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva asserts that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and that all others are either his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of those portions. Srila Jiva Goswami has later still more explicitly developed. Srila Jiva Goswami has still more explicitly developed this subject in his Krishna Sandarbha, and Brahma, the original living being, has explained Sri Krishna substantially in his treatise Brahma Samhita. The Samaveda also verifies the fact that Lord Sri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. In his prayers, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam first proposes that Lord Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord, and that if any transcendental nomenclature for the absolute personality of Godhead is to be accepted, it should be the name Krishna, the all-attractive. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has affirmed in many passages that He is the original personality of Godhead, and this was also confirmed by Arjuna, who cited great sages like Narada, Vyasa, and many others. In Padma Purana, it is also stated that of the innumerable names of the Lord, the name of Krishna is the principal one. Although the name Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead, and although all the different forms of the Lord are identical with Vasudeva, in this text, Vasudeva principally indicates the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Sri Krishna is always meditated upon by the Paramahamsas, those who are most perfect in the renounced order of life. Vasudeva, or Lord Sri Krishna, is the cause of all causes, and everything that exists is an emanation from him. How this is so is explained in later chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless Purana because it contains transcendental narrations of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The history of Srimad Bhagavatam is also very glorious. It was compiled by Vyasadeva, who drew from his mature experience of transcendental knowledge under the instruction of Sri Narad Muni, his spiritual master. Vyasadeva compiled all the Vedic literatures, the four Vedas, the Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutras, the Puranas, and the Mahabharata. Yet he was not satisfied until he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and consequently, Narada advised him to write on the transcendental activities of the Lord Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna's transcendental activities are specifically described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the canto which is considered to contain the substance of the whole work. One should not approach the 10th canto immediately, but should approach it gradually by developing knowledge of the subject matters first presented. Generally, a philosophical mind is inquisitive to learn of the origin of the creations. When one who is philosophical sees the night sky, he naturally raises questions about the stars, how they are situated, who lives there, etc. All these inquiries are quite natural for a human being, for the human being has a greater developed consciousness than the animals. In answer to such an inquiry, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam says that the Lord is the origin of all creations. He is not only the creator but the maintainer and annihilator as well. The manifested cosmic order is created at a certain period by the will of the Lord. maintained for some time and is finally annihilated by his will. Thus, he is the supreme will behind all activities. Of course, there are atheists of various categories who do not believe in the Creator, but that is due simply to their poor fund of knowledge. The modern scientist creates rockets, and by some arrangement or other, they are thrown into outer space to fly for some time under the control of a scientist far away. All the universes and the innumerable planets within them are similar to such rockets, and they are all controlled by the personality of Godhead. In the Vedic literature, it is said that the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is the foremost among all living personalities. All living beings, from the first created being Brahma down to the smallest ant, are individual living entities. Even above Brahma, there are many other living beings with individual capacities. The personality of Godhead himself is also a living being and is as much an individual as the other living beings. However, the Supreme Lord is the supreme living being, and he has the greatest mind and possesses the supermost inconceivable energies in great variety. If a man's mind can produce rockets and spaceships, it is conceivable that a mind higher than man's can produce superior things. A reasonable person will accept this argument, but stubborn, obstinate people will not. Srila Vyasadeva at once accepts the Supreme Mind as the Parameshvara, the Supreme Controller. As stated in Bhagavad Gita and all other Vedic scriptures written by Srila Vyasadeva, that Parameshvara is Sri Krishna himself. That is specifically validated in Srimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord himself says that there is no Paratattva, Samam Bonam, superior to himself. Therefore, the author at once worships the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto. Unscrupulous people go at once to the 10th canto, especially to the five chapters which describe the Lord's Rasa dance. However, this portion of Srimad Bhagavatam is the most confidential part of the great literature. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, he surely misunderstands the Lord's worship of transcendental pastimes in the Rasa dance and the Lord's love affairs with the gopis. This subject matter is highly spiritual and technical, and only liberated personalities who have gradually attained the stage of Paramhamsa can transcendentally relish the worshipable Rasa dance. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva gives the reader a chance to gradually develop in spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Thus, Vyasadeva purposefully invokes the Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi. This Gayatri mantra is especially meant for spiritually advanced people. When one attains success in chanting Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. First, however, one must acquire the Brahminical qualities and become perfectly situated in the mode of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri mantra successfully. From that point, one can begin to transcendentally realize the Lord, His name, His fame, His qualities, etc. Srimad Bhagavatam is a narration dealing with the Swarupa or form of the Lord, which is manifested by His internal potency. This potency is distinguished from the external potency which has manifested the cosmic world within our experience. Srila Vyasadeva makes a clear distinction between the internal and external potencies in the very first verse of the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. In that verse, he says that the internal potency is factual reality, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is temporary and illusory, no more real than a mirage in the desert. Water may appear, water may appear present in a mirage, but real water is somewhere else. Similarly, the manifested cosmic creation appears to be reality, but it is simply a reflection of the true reality which exists in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there are no mirages. Absolute truth is there. It is not here in the material world. Here, everything is relative truth. One truth seems to depend upon another. This cosmic creation results from an interaction of the three modes of material nature. The temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned soul. Thus, there appear to be so many species of life, including the higher demigods like Brahma, Indra, Chandra, etc. In fact, there is no reality in the manifested world, but there appears to be reality because the true reality exists in the spiritual world where the personality of Godhead eternally abides with his transcendental paraphernalia. The chief engineer of a complicated construction does not personally take part in the construction itself, but it is he only who knows all the nooks and corners of the construction because everything is carried out under his instructions only. In other words, he knows everything about the construction directly and indirectly. Similarly, the personality of Godhead, who is the supreme engineer of this cosmic creation, knows very well what is happening in every nook and corner of the cosmic creation, although activities appear to be performed by someone else. In actuality, no one is independent in the material creation. The hand of the Supreme Lord is everywhere. All material elements, as well as all spiritual sparks, are but emanations from Him only. Whatever is created in this material world is created by the interaction of the two energies, material and spiritual. These energies belong to the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. In the image of the spiritual self, mixing and origin, in reality, the living entity can only work under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Indeed, all materials used by a chemist are supplied by the Lord. The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly, and He is cognizant of all the minute details of everything. He is fully independent as well. He can be compared to a gold mine, and the cosmic creations can be compared to ornaments made from that gold, such as gold rings, necklaces, etc. The gold ring and the necklace are qualitatively one with the gold in the mine, but quantitatively, the gold in the mine and the gold in the earring or necklace are different. Lord Chaitanya's philosophy of the Absolute Truth centers about the fact that the Supreme Lord is simultaneously one with and different from his creation. Nothing is absolutely equal to the Absolute Truth, but at the same time, nothing is independent of it. Conditioned souls, beginning from Brahma, the engineer of this particular universe, down to an insignificant ant, are all creating something, but none of them are independent of the Supreme Lord. The materialist wrongly thinks that there is no creator outside his own good self, and this is called Maya or illusion. Due to his poor fund of knowledge, the materialist cannot see beyond the purview of his imperfect senses. Thus, he thinks that matter automatically takes its own shape, independent of a conscious background. This is refuted by Srila Vyasadeva in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. As stated before, Vyasadeva is a liberated soul, and he compiled this book of authority after attaining spiritual perfection. Since the complete whole or the absolute truth is the source of everything, nothing is independent of him. Everything exists within the body of the absolute truth. Any action or reaction of a part of a body becomes a cognizable fact to the embodied whole. Similarly, if the creation abides in the body of the absolute truth, then nothing is unknown to the absolute, directly or indirectly. Thank you very much for joining. We shall continue to read in the next session. And as I said, this year, may the Lord shower His blessings upon us and let us all try to engage more and more in Krishna conscious activities. Let us chant more, let us read more, Let us render more service during this coming year, in this year 2026, and in this way, let us become uh, proper recipients for the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Sri Radha Krishna Chandra. Thank you very much for joining. Happy Krishna Conscious New Year once again. Hare Krishna.